Hola a todos, I'm Juan, your Master of None. In this first episode, we're gonna build the foundation of our projects, a workbench.
You might already have a table, desk, or some existing space, but for those who don't or want to go further, let's design and make our own.
Some common materials include metal, wood, and plastic, but to keep it simple and without using any fancy tool or equipment, we're gonna go with wood. Don't worry, we're gonna explore more materials through the season.
The cheapest wood I found online was pine boards. We will use 2x4s because they are widespread worldwide. Just note, they don't actually measure 2x4. We won't use more expensive wood, since this table will be inevitably face bumps, cuts, and scratches. Let's embrace the fact that it's part of its function and focus on our work. When you go to the hardware store, choose the best wood because we don't have planers to correct mistakes. Look for a straight, less flow wood. It may take some time. Some stores can cut the wood to your desired size. In my case, they only cut the lumber in half. Later in the video, I'll show you how to cut them yourself. Let's be honest about our expectations. If you are just starting in the DIY world, you might not have many tools. No worries, let's use what we have. The only essential tool will be a drill, corded or cordless. If cutting is necessary, a rip saw will work. Or if you have other tools like a jigsaw or circular saw are even better. For the surface, depending on the activity, it can be as fancy as granite. But for an affordable price, we can use OSB, MDF or plywood. Searching online, plywood and melamine have similar prices. I will choose plywood because I prefer the consistency in the structure and surface. Now the question is, how big should my table be? Well, that depends on the intended use. Let's delve into ergonomics. There are two types of work at the table. If your work involves sitting for long periods, like using a computer, you'll want a lower table for comfortable sitting. Also, you might consider a monitor stand to avoid neck pain. In our case, we want the table for working, cutting, gluing, soldering, and inspecting. So, we should find a height that allows us to work comfortable while standing and avoid back pain. This is important because we will be using it a lot in our projects. Considering that, I think a height of 90 cm from the ground is suitable for my height, which is about 1.8 meters. Each person can have a different size table, and that's the advantage of doing the project yourself. The next point is size. How wide should our table be? Well, it also depends on what you plan to do. For only electronic soldering, the table doesn't need to be that large, unless you consider having other tools while doing it. If you're working with wood, a slightly larger workbench might be suitable. A rule that might help is that, in your working position, you should reach the entire table area without stretching too much or moving from your position so you're not moving around losing time. We are making our first workbench. It might not be the prettiest or have all the features, but let's aim for flexible capabilities that won't limit us that much in the future. Here is a list of the requirements. Okay, we have our requirements. Now, let's look at basic wood constructions. Wood can be glued, screwed, or joined together. The interlocking method is commonly used in Japanese carpentry because it provides strength and personality to the structure. Unfortunately, it requires a lot of technique and experience that we don't have at the moment. So, for our first approach to wood, we will use a simple fit, glue, and screws. I made my initial sketch in a notebook with the main features I will need. I then designed it in 3D for a better view of the finished project. This hand-drawn sketch is enough for the design. As the episodes progress, I'll show you how to 3D model for more complex projects. And this is how the table will look while assembling. If you're interested in building the same table, you can follow the measurements from this sketch. Still, if you want a complete PDF plan or the 3D model, it's available for Patreon supporters along with other exclusive content. Before we begin, I want to remind you that it's crucial to work with personal protective equipment. Specifically, I want to talk about respirators. They come with different types of filters, such as particle filters, which help prevent us from inhaling wood particles while cutting. I also recommend using safety goggles, gloves, and boots for added protection. I'll take this opportunity to show you how to cut wood with a rip saw. You need a straight guide to relight the rip saw. Here, patience is key to get good results. If you have a jigsaw or a circular saw, it can be much faster. Some hardware stores also rent tools. Anyway, this table can be made just with a rip saw and a drill. You can use a cut optimizer to know how much wood to buy for your projects in advance. Once we've got our good cat, it's time to start assembling. But first, we need to select cuts with the closest thickness since not all the boards are the same size. Next, we'll make the cuts for the wood joints. For this, use a ruler and cut along the line. Mark the spots where we'll drill with a bit slightly larger than our screws. This ensures a strong grip when screwing the piece together. Before screwing, apply a layer of wood glue evenly. You can use a brush to make it uniform. Now, with the help of clamps, secure the wood in position and then you can start screwing. These pieces will form the frame and we need 2 frames per table. For the screws on the bottom, make sure that they won't collide, so place them a bit higher to avoid issues in the next steps. I placed a screw in each corner of the frame. Using a square, I'll check that all the corners are 90 degrees. Once achieved, we can put the remaining 4 screws and tighten them well. With our 2 frames finished, we can put the parts that joins them with the help of clamps. I also drill holes and screw the center pieces that will serve as support for the surfaces. For the wheels, I mark the position and drill holes considering only the screw depth. This gives us a fully mobile frame, and this will allow you to lock them for a stable workbench. Now, for the surface, we need to cut the corners so that they feel smoothly underneath. It looks good. The next step is optional, but I lightly sanded it to eliminate any splinters. If you want to apply any finish, it's important to use a proper respirator, and, preferably, do it in a well-ventilated area. I apply a couple of layers of lacquer to seal the wood. Using these small L brackets allow us to change the surface easily. Once installed, we can securely fix the surfaces. This allows us to remove them in the future if necessary. With this, our workbench is ready. There's a space at the bottom to store our tools. In the future, you can add division to optimize the space even more. We have an overhanging edge that allows to clamp objects like wood or clamps easily. Being wood, it's straightforward to screw an extension cord for easy access.
I make one completely using hand tools like a rib saw and another one using an electric jigsaw. Is there a difference? Well, not much for me.
It probably would have been better with a circular saw. Still, as the woods are not the same size from the store, imperfections are expected. If you cut with care, you will get better results than me.
These are also my first workbenches.
And, best of all, this table is super sturdy, mobile, and we designed it exactly for our needs.
That's the beauty of DIY design.
The size is suitable for many tasks. But, if you need more space, the design allows 2 of these to make a square or a long table, so you can work on larger projects. These workbenches are our first project, and we'll build on them from the next ones. I hope you found the advice and techniques shared useful. If you want to record your own creations and share with the world, don't miss the next episode of our series, where we'll explore the design and creation of an amazing overhead camera rig that fit this workbench.
Get your paint pens ready and I'll see you on that video.